Hi, and welcome back. In this video, you'll be learning how to choose the perfect yarn and needles for your project. You can get yarn at many places. You can search the internet for a yarn store near you. Yarn stores are great because the people there are so helpful and know a ton about yarn. You can also get yarn at a craft store or some fabric stores. There are a lot of different kinds of yarn. Yarn is often organized by weight, meaning how thick it is. For this project, you want worsted weight yarn, which is about in the middle of the weight scale. So to read a yarn label and figure out what weight your yarn is and how much there is, you can see right here in this sample yarn label from Heartland by Lion Brand that there's a little 4 here and then it says medium. You want on your yarn for it to say 4, and you want medium or worsted. It might only say 4, it might only say medium, and it might only say worsted, but that is what you want. Next to that right here, you can see a little box with knitting needles in it. Above them, it gives a recommended needle size. You see size 9 here. Size 8 is okay. Next to that, there will be a gauge. Gauge is how many stitches are in an inch. It controls how large the final project is. In a project like a purse, gauge isn't essential. But if you make an article of clothing, it will become very, very important. You don't want a dwarf sweater. You can see the S16 right here on the bottom. That tells you there are 16 stitches in 4 inches of knitting, or 4 stitches per inch. You want about 16. 15 or 17 is okay. Ignore the crochet hook. You don't need that. The yarn will also say what material it's made of. See right here, acrylic. You can pick whatever you want, really, but I'd recommend at least partial acrylic so it's sturdier. Acrylic is also a lot cheaper. Don't get anything too complicated with ruffles or feathers. It makes it harder to see what you're doing. I also recommend getting at least one solid color, although you can definitely try some multicolored yarn also. Somewhere on the yarn label, it will also say how much yarn there is. So here it gives the amount of yarn in ounces and grams, and then in yards and meters. You want about 25 yards or 20 meters of yarn in 3 colors, for a total of 75 yards or 60 meters. You don't need to use 3 colors if you don't want to, but color switching is very easy and it looks awesome. You might end up needing to buy yarn in a bigger quality, like the 250 yards you see here. That's great. Start building up your yarn stash. You can use that yarn to make duplicates of this project or for different projects. If you decide that you don't want to buy a ton of yarn, just get 1 ball and make a solid color clutch. Here are some yarns that I found easy to work with. These would be great for this project, but you don't have to use them. There are other great yarns. These are just ones I've come across frequently, and they're great. But don't run off to the store just yet. It's time to talk about knitting needles. There are lots of different kinds of needles, made out of different things, used for different purposes. You want straight needles, which look like pointy sticks with a cap on the bottom, like this. Knitting needles are usually made of metal, wood, or plastic. Personally, I like metal. You can see here that these are wood. Everyone has to figure out what works for them. The size of the needles will be given on the package and probably also on the side here, as you can kind of see. Now head over to your local yarn or craft store and have some fun. Try different color and fiber combinations. Play with shades or contrasts. Get multicolored yarn and match the colors to 2 other balls. The sky is really the limit here with what you can create. You might want to write down the information on this slide to take with you to the store. Have fun! And come back for the next video to begin testing on your project.